Kindly mute yourself. We are about to begin. Good morning. Good morning to the Principal, Loyola College of Education, Father Anthony P. Raj, S.J., Our guest speaker, Father Josie S.J., staff, students, and the viewers on YouTube. I welcome you all with great joy and immense exultation. I, Dr. Monica Uppal, Academic Coordinator of LCE, feel privileged to extend my warm welcome to all present here for the celebration of Founders' Day. Ignatian spirituality is a spirituality of everyday life. It insists that God is present in our world and active in our lives. It is a pathway to deeper prayer, good decision, guided by keen discernment and an active life of service to others. Ignatian spirituality is rooted in the experience of Ignatius Loyola, a Basque aristocrat, where conversion to a fervent Christian faith began while he was recovering from war wounds. Ignatius, who founded the Society of Jesus, gained many insights into spiritual life in the course of spiritual journey, during which he became expert at helping others, deepening their relationship with God. Let us pay homage to this legendary soldier turned spiritual leader. I request the principal of Loyola College of Education, Dr. Father Anthony P. Raj, S.J., to garland his statue. Yes, Father, you can begin.
Uh, Good morning to all of you. Good morning to Father Josie Dimalo, the associates to the provincial of Karnataka province right now, and welcome to all. So I would invite Mr. Felix to say the prayer, then we'll have the hymn, then I will do college, then we will proceed. Mr. Felix.
Okay, Father. Let us pray. चलिए प्रार्थना करते हैं. Eternal Lord of all things, we come before your infinite goodness to make our offering with your help and favor. It is our wish, desire, and determination, provided that it would be for your greater service and praise to imitate you in suffering, injury, insults, and poverty, actual as well as spiritual. Should your most holy majesty choose to receive us in such a way of life, Almighty God, as you had shown the way to live life to Saint Ignatius Loyola for the greater glory of God as well as the greater service of others. Likewise, we may also live our life for the greater service of others. Heavenly Father, give us strength so that whatever difficulties, problems are there among us in this pandemic era, we may face and overcome. Hear our prayer, O Lord. Give us good health, physically, spiritually, and mentally. Give us understanding power so that we may understand and act according to the present situation. Hear our prayer, O Lord. We may be optimistic at present. Give us hope so that we may believe to come better tomorrow. Hear our prayer, O Lord. Saint Ignatius Loyola is our role model. Lord, we pray so that we may be also role model for others. Hear our prayer, O Lord. On this holy occasion, Saint Ignatius Loyola says that love expresses itself more in deeds than in words. If we love God and want to have and grow closer to God, we will want to please God, serve God, and do God's will. We pray to God so that it may be fulfilled through our life. We make this prayer in your holy name. Amen.
We shall sing a hymn. Please join in. Take and receive, O Lord, my liberty. Take all my will, my mind, my memory. Do thou direct and govern all and sway. Do what thou wilt, command and I obey. Only thy grace and love on me bestow, possessing these, all riches I forgo. Only thy grace and love on me bestow, possessing these, all riches I forgo. Thank you.
Once again, our honorable speaker of today, the spiritual discourse, Father Jose Di Mello, the faculty members, and my dear students, and all those who are invitees who are watching this program in the YouTube. A warm and hearty welcome to all of you to partake in this spiritual discourse and to give you a rich tribute to Father Ignatius, the founder father of the Society of Jesus. Today, the whole world is observing the eve of the feast day, St. Ignatius of Loyola, a Spaniard by birth and who has revolutionized the world religiously. Today, 17,000 plus Jesuits all over the world, serving across the globe in various capacities, in the universities, in colleges, in secondary schools, in primary schools, social work, pastoral work, and legal work, and any number of work that you think of, the Jesuits are involved. The Jesuits are not only working in a cozy and comfortable place, but far out in the villages on the difficult situation. Even places like Afghanistan, Africa, and places like very difficult to move into, there the Jesuits are working very silently. And today and tomorrow is a big day for the Jesuits and all the associates of the Jesuits, the collaborators, because you are part of the whole movement. So Father Nadal would say that the charisma, the grace that Ignatius has received, is the same grace that all his sons and daughters are receiving today. So with this thought, I would go back to the inception of this college, 1976. In the name of Xavier School of Management, Xavier School of Education began in XLRI campus by Father Kenneth Judge, a Maryland missionary who has come that time to begin the project. So it was started in a small scale, very low key, in the corridor of the auditorium, Tata Auditorium in XLRI. It was 1976. In 1992, the campus moved into the Telco campus here. And then on many principals, superiors of this community have taken this institution to the greater height. And over 3,000 plus students have graduated from this college, and they are working in the city schools and across the world, across the country, under various capacities as the principals, vice principals, coordinators, and teachers. So they sing the glory of this college. They are alumni or the great strength of this college. And today, you are all part of this college. And tomorrow, you are going to carry the legacy of this wherever you go. Especially the second years, they already left us and they are joined the schools. They are already having that legacy of St. Ignatius in them. And the first years all are already getting into the legacy of St. Ignatius gradually. And you will be speaking the good of this institution to the place wherever you go. And Loyola College of Education is not a ordinary institutions or institution run by any XYZ, but it is run by the schoolmasters of Europe. St. Ignatius would call the Jesuits as the schoolmasters of Europe. Educationists, academicians, visionaries to take the institution forward. And today, we are catering to the 200 students of the college. And these 200 are touching upon 20, 30,000 students and the parents when they go into the field. So 20, 30,000 parents are touching upon 60,000 people and more. So the legacy of Ignatius is not staying in a place, but it is spreading all across the world, all over the world, through you and in you. You students, you are the carriers of this legacy. You students, you are the spokesperson of this charism of St. Ignatius. So today, I invite you all to this spiritual dialogue, a spiritual discourse, a spiritual conversation with Father Jose Di Mello. Now, this spiritual conversation, spiritual dialogue, spiritual discourse has been taking place from the beginning of St. Ignatius. St. Ignatius started the spiritual dialogue, spiritual discourse with his companions. And every other moment that he reaches a turning point, he used to turn to his companions to dialogue with them, to converse with them, to talk to them. And this is what the discernment is all about. Ignatian discernment, Ignatian spirituality is all about. And none of our institutions do something unilaterally or in one-sided way, but it always consults and with the collaborators and take the movement forward. So it is a great occasion for all of us to commemorate and celebrate the great feast of St. Ignatius of Loyola, the founder father, who has given his life, who has given his whole career for making men and women for others. That is our motto of our college also. Yesterday we had the prayer service, being men and women for others. And today we are seeing that the formed men and women serving the country, serving the nation, serving the world, and the various capacity with the legacy of St. Ignatius of Loyola. So it's a great honor, great privilege, great opportunity to be on this platform today to witness that celebration, witness that the joy and the happiness along with the St. Ignatius and his companions and Father Jose Di Mello, who is going to facilitate us, animate us, help us to understand the insights of St. Ignatius to our context. Ignatian insights is great that we have, and he is going to talk about it. So I would warmly welcome you all once again. Father Josie, once again, welcome. And all our teachers and the students and other participants from the elsewhere schools invited, they might be participating. All of you, a warm welcome. Now over to Monica to introduce Dr. Father Josie Di Mello.
The world has changed with the grandeur of God. This line from the poem by the Jesuit Gerald Manley Hopkins captures a central theme of Ignatian spirituality. As Ignatius put it, all the things in the world are presented to us so that we can know God more easily. Prayer is an expression of total faith in the present power within and around us. When we pray with faith, we express it through our sincere thanks to Him. He fulfills our desires, we call up on Him and acknowledge Him. Thank you, Father Principal, Felix, and Jennifer for the prayer service. Thank you for leading us in the spiritual moods. I'm profusely elated with the opportunity to introduce our guest speaker, Father Joseph Anthony Di Mello, popularly known as Josie. He joined the Karnataka province of Society of Jesus in 1988 and was ordained in December 2001. He served as the assistant novice director in Mount St. Joseph, Bengaluru from 2002 to 2005. He obtained his master's and doctorate in spiritual theology from the University of Comillas, Madrid, Spain. He was the program coordinator of Prerna Ignatian Spirituality Center, Bangalore from 2012 to 2015 and the coordinator of Master's Program in Ignatian Spirituality at Gandhi Vidyapeeth, Pune, 2016 to 2018, and taught there from 2015 to 2018. He also served as the secretary for the Commission on Ignatian Tourism in South Asia for 6 years. Presently, he is the socius to the Provincial of Karnataka since January 2019. So now I would like to invite Father Joseph Di Mello, known as Father Josie, to please enlighten us. Over to Father Josie.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Okay. First of all, thanks to Dr. Father Anthony Raj for inviting me for this input session. I'm very happy to be here before you this morning. And also to Dr. Monica for introducing me in such a beautiful way. So let me begin my presentation. I will do my presentation through the PPT. Shall I go ahead?
Yes, Father. Go ahead.
Yeah, the friends, the title of my presentation is Relevance of Ignatian Insights to Our Context. And I'm happy to make this presentation because I'm making this presentation in Loyola College of Education. And education has been your thrust. So let me proceed. First of all, I want to speak to you about the context in which we live today. What is the scenario around us? The first point is corona pandemic. An invisible virus has altered our way of thinking, our way of seeing, our way of relating, and our way of living. It has brought a paradigm shift. It has invited us to think about everything in a different way. We were not in this world, in this perspective, till March. But after March, things have changed. The second point is about the fragility of human life. Initially, we thought about people dying in other countries. Today, people are not only dying in our country due to COVID, but also in our neighborhood. And we realize how fragile we are, how vulnerable we are. At one moment, we thought we are the masters of this world. But today, we are not sure about our future. The third point is about the migrants. There is a tension, there is a tug of war that is going on between life and livelihood. People are dying today. Many of our migrants, they have gone home. And we know their condition. They are dying of hunger. Some of them don't have job. And their future is bleak. COVID has affected the entire perspective, entire all the dimensions of our life, including the economic dimension. And who are badly hit? The migrants and the poor. The fourth one is about the new normal that we are talking about today. There's a new normal called physical distancing. There's a new normal called sanitization, lockdown. Temples are closed. And today we need to pray from our homes. And this is the new normal. And somehow we need to get used to this new normal. And this also affects our education system. And the fifth point, therefore, is about online teaching and learning. And today we need to think about education in a different way. And you are going to be the future educators. You need to think about it. And fortunately, or unfortunately, we can call you as the COVID batch. And the COVID batch has to think how to face, how to teach in a new worldview of COVID, the after COVID. And today we are talking about teaching and learning or education. And it is good to ask ourselves, what kind of education are we talking about? It is true, through online teaching, we can cover the syllabus, we can provide information, but what about character formation of our students? Today, many of our students have no idea about what is going on within them. They are going through a crisis moment. Yes, they have a degree, but they do not have a job. And today we need to ask about the role of mentoring in our education system, the role of guiding our students, accompanying our students. It is not enough that they get a degree, but they need to also have this transformation in their character. And the last point is about collaboration and networking. Let me explain this point. Till the COVID, till the month of March, we hardly spoke about collaboration and networking. But after this COVID, today this has become a catchword among the Jesuits. Today we talk about how to collaborate with people of goodwill, people of other religions, other faiths, and how to address this issue, the biggest threat that we have called COVID, coronavirus. And alone we cannot work. We need to work together as a family, as a team. And this is what we have learned. And only when we work together, we can fight this virus. We can alleviate the pain and suffering. And therefore, we notice because of this collaboration, so many creative ventures have been initiated by people. Creative ideas have emerged. And all this is for one purpose, that is to address the COVID issue. And somehow it has taught us we cannot march alone. We need to work together. And this is what has happened in Bangalore. I'm in Bangalore and very familiar with this place. Many of our students during this COVID, they came and knocked at our door and they said, we need to do something. Some of our students from MSW. So they said, we need to do something. Our staff, our alumni, all of them came together and we have worked together. And I'm sure this is the same story in other states as well, even in Jamshedpur. So today, collaboration and networking is the pathway for us, path that is ahead of us. Now, friends, coming to the second part of my presentation, you know Ignatius of Loyola. He was born in 1491 and died in 1556. Now, he was an educationist, and his companions were called as schoolmasters of Europe. And therefore, I would like to touch upon what kind of education are we talking about? What kind of education are we talking about? We can talk about an informative knowledge. Education system provides an informative knowledge that you get in your books. Today, if you go to the net, you have so many websites and so many portals through which you can get this information. But when you talk about Jesuit education, is that all? I think Jesuit education has a greater scope. The Jesuit education tells us that there is something called the character formation. The information that we receive in the classroom that should transform us. For example, in the classroom, let's say we are making a study about the migrants. And we see today so many migrants are without jobs, are going through hunger. And we make a study in the classroom, we go to the net, we get a lot of information, we get the data, we get the statistics, and we prepare a paper. Friends, it is merely an informative knowledge. Today, Jesuit education talks about transformative knowledge. The information that I receive has to transform me. It should affect me. And what do I mean by this? I'm sure there are some students among you who make a study of these migrants and make a presentation in the classroom and they get good marks for that. But they say, I think we need to do something about these migrants. They are in our neighborhood. They are in our towns. Shall we do something about for them? Shall we take some concrete action? And this is what I mean, Jesuit education. Jesuit education doesn't end in the classroom. It should be translated into action. And so Jesuit education includes not only the mind, but also the heart and also our hands and feet. This is Jesuit education. And so today we talk about education for transformation. And this is my perspective in this presentation. Friends, I'm highlighting 5 aspects of our Jesuit education. And these are the insights I have taken from the person of Ignatius, which are very relevant today for us. The first point is, when we talk about education, we are talking about education that contributes to the purpose of life. Education that contributes to the purpose of life. What do I mean by this? I will explain in the following slides. First of all, I want to ask you, most of you are students, some of you are also the faculty. I want to ask you, why study? Why do we need to study? Is there any purpose in our studying? I want to ask you, friends, the youngsters, aren't we wasting our time, money, and energy by studying? Your parents are breaking their heads sometimes at the beginning of the academic year. Some of them are also struggling to pay your academic fees. You are sitting in the classroom every day. Aren't you wasting your time? Is there any purpose in education? And these questions we need to address as students. Have you asked any time this question? Why am I studying? Why am I sitting in the classroom? Why am I opening the books, going through the site? Why am I appearing for the exams? And I would say, I would like to make a reference to Viktor Frankl, who was born in 1905 and 1997. He was known for logotherapy. He was a renowned psychologist from Austria. In his book titled Man's Search for Meaning, he says the following. I have modified the entire quote. If you have a why in your life, you will live anyhow. If you have a why, WHY in your life, you will live anyhow. If you listen to some of the talks these days on how to address or how to survive during this pandemic, many people make a reference to Viktor Frankl, especially his book, Man's Search for Meaning. And therefore, I thought of making a reference to Viktor Frankl. If you have a why in your life, you will live anyhow. What does it mean? Look at Ignatius first of all. You know the story of Ignatius. Up to the age of 30, Ignatius was trapped in the web of worldly ambition, careerism, pleasure, and power. Ignatius had that question, why I need to live, why I need to be a soldier. And his point was very clear. He was a soldier for power and pleasure. He wanted to conquer the external territories, the external world, ultimately for name and fame. One day he wanted to become a great person. And his entire life, the meaning of his life revolved around power and pleasure. In other words, for Ignatius, he himself was the focus. Other people did not matter. He said, to get power, I'm ready to kill other people. I'm ready to eliminate other people. That is the value system. I'm not bothered. Anger, hatred, jealousy. This was ruling him. That was Ignatius up to the age of 30. We must understand he was a soldier, he was a knight, and therefore he lived in this world, in this meaning system. But something happened in the year 1520. That was a turning point in his life. All of you are familiar with the life of Ignatius. In 1520, there was a battle between the French soldiers and the Spanish kingdom. And Ignatius was part of the Spanish kingdom. And the opponents, they shattered the leg of Ignatius through the cannonball. Cannonball hit his leg and his dreams were shattered. Ignatius' dreams were shattered. He wanted to become a big man. He was worried about his external appearance. Now, because of that shattering of his leg, he had to limp. Now he was worried about his external appearance. And I would say God intervened in the life of Ignatius. When Ignatius was down, God enters into his life. And now there is a shift from his ego, from self, to God or the other. There is a shift that takes place in the life of Ignatius as he began to read the life of Christ and the lives of saints. In fact, Ignatius wanted to read other books, books on romance, books on love story, on chivalry. He wanted to read such books, but he could not get those books in the house. And therefore, he was given these two books. And God enters into the life of Ignatius, and we see a paradigm shift in the life of Ignatius. Now, what happens over the years? A gradual transformation, change that takes place. So far, his focus was on self, but now the focus is on the other. The focus is on his neighbor. And so he often told his fellow companions, told the Jesuits, I want to help neighbors. The neighbor is my focus. I hope you're all with me, you're journeying with me. Let me continue. So now Ignatius said, friends, another world is possible. There is a new meaning system that is emerging in the life of Ignatius. He says, now I have another purpose in my life. So far, the purpose was power, pleasure, my name and fame. I am the center of that meaning system. But now he tells himself, another world is possible. And so I would say today education also must tell us that another world is possible. When we look at so much hatred in our world, when we look at so much jealousy, when we look at so much divisive things in our life, in our world today, can we not say another world is possible? And that's what education offers us. A true education offers us that hope, education of hope. And that hope is filled with this maxim, another world is possible. It is a world of peace. It is a world of forgiveness. And it is a world of service. And this is the thrust of Jesuit education. And coming to the last part of this first point, ultimately, the purpose of Jesuit education is this, to help our neighbors, to help my neighbors. And so our goal should be higher than self. My goal should be higher than self. I am not the focus of my goal. I am meant to live for the other. In other words, the service mindedness that is highlighted. And so, how do I look at my neighbors? For Ignatius, up to the age of 30, he looked at others and he said, I need to conquer these people. He looked at others in order to eliminate them because he wanted to conquer them. But how do I look at the other? How do I look at my classmates today, first of all? Do I look at them as brothers and sisters? Or do I look at them, they belong to a particular caste, particular religion, particular state? I think, yes, these differences are there. But at the core of everybody, we must say that we are all brothers and sisters. We belong to one family. And this is the purpose of Jesuit education. And if somebody says we all belong to one family, we are all brothers and sisters, though we have our own religions, but when we look beyond this, we are all brothers and sisters. Such people, such students, such teachers are transformed persons. And so we today talk about, Father Anthony P. Raj also mentioned about this. Our trust is this, to be men and women for others. This is the motto of Jesuit education. And when we look at others, we don't make a distinction. You belong to this group, that group. We all belong to one family. And our trust is this, to be men and women for others. And as I conclude this first part, I would like to draw your attention to Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, a former president. He said, dream is not that which you see while sleeping. It is something it is something that does not let you sleep. And that's what happened to Ignatius and his companions. I need to help my neighbor. Helping my neighbor, that was the dream that they had. And somehow they did not sleep. That dream did not allow them to sleep. They were passionate about that dream. And finally, they were able to realize that dream. I would like to place before you two questions for reflection. Have I asked myself, dear friends, why am I studying? What is the purpose of my studies? On the other hand, for the staff also, I can ask this question, why am I teaching? What is the goal of my life? Is it higher than self or it is self-centered? The second one is, do I consider my neighbor as my brother or sister? You are in Jamshedpur, you have your own local issues. Sometimes we distinguish people, we brand people. But can I consider, first of all, in the classroom, all those that are in the classroom are my brothers and sisters. As teachers, do we have this perspective, this vision, that all are my brothers and sisters? No, we spoke about, we have a spiritual discourse, a dialogue. I invite you to have this dialogue. Yeah, we cannot talk to each other, but have this dialogue with yourself as you ponder over these questions. Now I move on to the second point. In the second point, I would like to touch upon the following. We talk about education today, Jesuit education, that puts us in contact with the inner world. Education that puts us in contact with our inner world. Let me explain this point. Friends, Ignatius, from being a man lost in outward excitement, stimulation, pleasure, and activity till the age of 30, he became a man of deep thought, reflection, and self evaluation. As I told you earlier, up to the age of 30, his whole focus was on the external world. He was so much concerned about his physical appearance. But now, after the age of 30, once there was a paradigm shift in his life, when the other becomes the focus, he told himself, there is another world within me. I'm so much worried about the external world, but I think I need to pay attention to my inner world. What is this inner world? What does it consist of? Ignatius learned to become aware of what was going on within him, his thoughts, feelings, and inner stirrings. Friends, there is an inner world. And what is the content of that inner world? My thoughts, feelings, and inner stirrings. I told you today many migrants are returning to their hometown. Yes, externally they don't have jobs. They are going through hunger. But it's good to ask them, what are their thoughts? What are they going through? What are their inner stirring? Some of them may be having thoughts of committing suicide. Some of them are going through restlessness, frustration. And some of them also may be thinking to leave their family and run away, because family can become a burden. But on the other hand, there may be other migrants who are having a positive thoughts. Yes, this COVID has affected our family. It has shattered our dreams. But I should not succumb to these negative thoughts. I need to come up. I need to fight against these negative thoughts. Yes, there is some kind of helplessness, but there is also hope. Some of them may be holding on to God. God will not let us down. And they also see a hope. They see a silver line in the thick clouds. And in the classroom today, our students also might be going through similar kind of situation. In their family, we need to ask, yes, certain times the things may be so rosy in the family, but we need to ask, what are they going through? What are my parents going through during these days? Some of them may not be having jobs. They might have lost jobs. Some of them might be sick. What are they going through? And we as students, what are we going through? And some of you are teachers here. What are you going through? Today, we are introduced into a new system of education, online education. And I've heard in Bangalore, some of our teachers have left the job because they are not adept in this kind of teaching. They're not techno savvy, and therefore they say, no, I cannot teach. I'm used to talk. I'm used to a real classroom. This virtual teaching is difficult for me. And you must understand, what are they going through? What are their thoughts? They may be worried about their future, but at the same time, they're finding it difficult to adjust. And so, friends, I give you enough examples. There is an external world. Sometimes it may appear very beautiful, rosy, but there's an internal world of tug of war, internal world of difficulties, internal world of struggles. And so, what happened to Ignatius? Let us explore this inner world. Ignatius learned to sift the growth producing inner from the destructive ones. As I told you just now, sometimes I have a very positive thoughts, and also sometimes there are also negative thoughts. Some of you are attending this session now. What thoughts you are having? There may be mixture of thoughts. One person might be going through one kind of thought. Today I could have relaxed. Why these days we have all these inputs. We could have relaxed. We could have enjoyed our holidays. Some others, the same person might be having other thought. No, maybe it's an occasion for me to learn something new about the Jesuit education. So these mixed thoughts, each one of us will go through. But I need to ask, what is the predominant thought? What is the predominant thought? A positive one or negative one? So Ignatius tells us, become aware of this and you need to sift. That's what we see in the first line. There's a word called sift. What is this sifting? We have seen in the construction side, those construction workers, sorry, those construction workers sifting sand from stones. They need sand. They don't want stones. Similarly, Ignatius tells us, you need to, once you become aware of these two types of thoughts, you need to sift them. You need to distinguish them. And you need to see where this positive thought leading me. I told you just now, some of you are at home. When you look at your parents, you may be also very depressive. You might be getting negative thoughts. Now, what is the future of my family? And there may be also positive thoughts. You listen to some of the stories, how people have fought against this corona. And you need to sift. And certain thoughts will take you towards positive worldview. Certain thoughts, negative thoughts, can take you to the negative worldview. And that's why some of them run away, some of them will commit suicide. So we need to sift these thoughts that we have. And these thoughts also will have their own feelings. Normally we say, any experience elicit feelings. You're going through certain amount of feelings. I will come to that feelings later on. So we need to pay attention to our inner world. Some of us are paying so much attention to our external world. The Jesuit education tells us, through the inspiration of Ignatius, that we need to pay attention to our inner world. What is this inner world? You need to ask, what are my thoughts now? What are my feelings now? And as youngsters, I'm sure in your context, what is your world now? I would say it's an age of attention. And as teachers, I know some of you have had difficulties to handle your own students. Let's not forget, it's the age of attention for our youth. And that's why, you know, a lot of energy is there within them. And to get attention, to draw attention from the staff, they do a lot of activities. And this is the age of attention for our students. That is the first age. It's also an age of attraction. The present media tells so much about it. You need to have a girlfriend or boyfriend. It's an age of attraction. But it's an external world of attraction. But also they are going through something. I think in Hindi they say, kuch kuch hota hai. Something is happening to me, within me, when I see the person of the complementary sex. So it's an age of attraction. Many things are going on within us. Certain thoughts are coming to my mind. Certain feelings I go through. I feel like doing certain actions. This is what happened to Ignatius. He was like any other youth. And he says in the autobiography, while I was reading about the worldly things, I was thinking about a lady. I wanted to make that lady my own. And to get that lady, to make that lady my own, I am ready to go to any extent. That's what he says. I wanted to go to any extent, ultimately win favor from that lady. Third one is age of anti-authority. Many of our parents are having a problem with our own students. They do not know how to handle them. And our students at that age, they don't like any do's and don'ts. If you tell them do this and don't do that, and what you tell them don't do that, they will do that. They will do the opposite. And this is their age. We need to understand them as staff. We need to understand them as parents. And also we need to see what is going on within them. They get certain amount of joy, certain amount of pleasure by breaking certain norms, because that is the age of attention. That is the age of attraction. And so as teachers, as mentors, we need to try to see what is going on in our youth. What is their inner world, especially when they go through this age of attraction. They are in a place of crisis. And today, because of the COVID, they are also going through lot of tension. Certain things they want to do as youth, they are not able to do. And so, as teachers, as mentors, as parents, we need to also enter into the world of our youngsters. And even I am asking you, you students, because you're going to be future educators, are you in touch with your inner world? What is the predominant thought now? A positive thought or a negative thought? What is the predominant feeling? A positive feeling or a negative feeling? To put in simple words, I want to ask you, is there a toxic environment within me? Toxic environment will kill me. What is this toxic environment? If my mind is filled with negative thoughts, if my mind is filled with the anger, jealousy, lustful thoughts, then I am having a toxic environment. If all the time I talk about sex, if all the time I talk about killing somebody or eliminating somebody, all the time if I put down people, then there is toxic environment. And the toxic environment, not only filled with thoughts, it has a lot of feelings within me. Feeling of anger. I want to eliminate some people. I'm so angry. I tell my parents, I don't want to come home. If you talk to me anything negative, I will destroy you. There are students who speak this language. There is a toxic environment. We need to see as a classroom, as a community of students, what is the environment among the students? A positive environment, we love each other, or there are groups among the students, and group which become a negative force, a destructive force. And so, I'm asking you, dear friends, do I have the knowledge of the interior movements of my heart? We talk about a lot of knowledge in our education system, but the interior movements, my thoughts, my feelings, and my desires, they are also indicators of something. They also offer me some insight, some jnana, what we say jnana. And do I have that jnana about my inner world? And so we need to process the inner world. That's what our education should offer. Our Jesuit education should offer this, a process, a facility to process the inner world. And so inner world offers you an insight into your life. If your mind is filled with negative thoughts, it tells something about you. If your mind is filled with positive thoughts, it speaks something about you. So therefore, check your thoughts, check your feelings. Now you're here, you see what you're going through at this moment. Some of you may be thinking about your family, some of you may be thinking about your studies, some of you may be thinking about your future plans. But is there a positive element or a negative element? And that gives an insight into your life. It's an indicator about your life, about your personality. And let us not forget, normally, very often, this inner world impels me to act. Impels me to act. I utter a bad word, something has happened to me in my inner world. I'm angry with that person, anger is inside. And I want to say something negative. I get angry, I get upset, I shout at that person. So this inner world impels me to act. Today, so many people commit murder. There are people also do charitable activities, good deeds, because of the inner world. They say, no, we need to do something about the poor. We need to do something about the migrant. I told you some of the students came to our own colleges, to our houses, communities, and they said, we need to do something. Yes, the inner world was inviting them for something. Inner world impels us to act. And so, friends, at the end of college education, once you finish your studies in Loyola College of Education, this is our invitation. I don't want to be like this, what I presented here. Students become monsters with swollen heads, but people with shrunken hearts. Their hearts are very small. They are monsters with swollen heads. They have a lot of knowledge, but heart is very small. They have no courage to take risks. They have no courage to help people. And there are also, we come across students who are intellectual geniuses with no feelings. People are suffering, but they are not affected. We don't want such students. We want students who are in touch with their inner world. As they look at the external world, something is happening to me. They should be able to process that inner world. And my points for reflection are the following. Are you aware of your inner world? Are you aware what is going on within you? Second one is there a healthy environment within you or a toxic environment? Is there a healthy environment within you or a toxic environment? It is not only within you, but in the classroom, in your family. What kind of environment you notice? Are you living in tension, worry when you go to your family? In your workplace, what is the situation among the colleagues? Are you happy to go to the college every day, or are you happy to interact with your college, with the management, or you are always upset? You carry negative thought. And I think you need to process this and need to talk to somebody if you are really in trouble. The third one, a Jesuit education that is centered on a pedagogy. I will explain to you this term pedagogy. A Jesuit education that is centered on a pedagogy. I'm sure you know that Ignatius and his companions studied in the University of Paris. And they somehow imbibed the Paris method. They appropriated the Paris method. They made their own that Paris method. And what is that Paris method? The Paris method is this. There are many other things, but one of the elements of this Paris method is the Paris method taught them there is an experience. All of us go through experience. And those experiences, just now I said, it is a continuation of the previous point. These experiences, they are filled with thoughts. They bring you thoughts. They bring you feelings. And Ignatius would tell us through Paris method, we need to make a pause. We need to reflect over this experience. And I want to underline this point of reflection. I want to underline this point of reflection. Reflection is the key to his philosophy of life. Reflection is the key to Ignatius, and reflection is the key of Jesuit education. What does it mean? Socrates said, unexamined life is not examination, and you are given the grade, and you get a certificate, and you are very happy. But also, we need to check about other things. Paris method taught them, just don't give students the information about the subject. But that information that they receive, it must help them to be transformed. Persons who are transformed men and women. What does it mean? Let's say we are studying about poverty in our country. And in the classroom, we make a study, we give input on this. But that is not enough. We need to ask the students, what is their experience of poverty? This is what I mean, the reflective pedagogy or the reflection aspect. All the students have an experience of poverty. Some of them are really going through poor life. Some of them may be rich, but also they have seen people who are poor. And therefore, the information that we give in the classroom must touch their experience. Tell the students to bring their experience of poverty. If they have seen somewhere or if they have really lived that poverty, they are going through a lot of difficulties, financial problems, and they are going through difficulties. That means some of the students are going through a difficulty, they are poor. And they will have their own thoughts and feelings about poverty. Ask them to articulate, ask them to share, try to talk to them. So what they study in the classroom, in the book, somehow that is connected to the book of life. That is connected to their context. And we need to reflect that. And that reflection is important. Do you see a big difference between what is taught in the book and what is your life experience? Sometimes it is said, no, government takes care of the poor. But these students would say, no, though I come under this below poverty line, I belong to BPL group, but I have not received anything. And what am I feeling? I am upset about it. Another student would say, yes, government has assured and we have received it. And I'm happy about it. Though I'm poor, government is, the country is taking care of me. You see different feelings. All are studying the same subject. but the feelings are different. Because when one connects that information that is given in the classroom to one's life, the feelings are different, the thoughts are different. Some are grateful to other people, some are grateful to the government, but there are also some people who are not grateful because they are not received anything. They are very upset with the system that is there in place in our country. So we need to provide this. Let's say you are making a study on COVID, and if you're studying on COVID, it is not enough to get a statistics of people who are affected by COVID, but we need to ask the classroom, and that will also lead them to take a constructive action. Coming to the next slide, what we can do as students, as staff. This pedagogy invites us, life is itself is education, not only classroom. And so, dear friends, we need to review the day. So ask yourself, how did I begin my day? Or a negative thought? If I began my day with a negative thought, most probably entire day will be negative. If I begin my day with a positive thought, most probably the whole day will be positive. Not only the thought, what was I feeling? Was I feeling happy that I have the new day? Or was I feeling a kind of remorse or kind of sadness? Why should I go to the college, or why should I attend this webinar? Let me take rest. You see, this has an impact on the way we live our day-to-day life. Ask yourself, how did you end your day? Did you end your day with gratitude? Did you end your day with the kind of remorse, anger? Did you end your day with certain amount of satisfaction or certain amount of sadness? What was your uppermost feeling during the day? In the classroom, when you are engaged in online teaching, what was your uppermost feeling? What was your uppermost feeling when students asked you questions, when we are correcting their papers? Similarly, for the students, when you are attending, what are your feelings? When you are at home, most of the time, what you are going through? Ask these questions. And where it is leading you, it is leading you towards a constructive way of life or a destructive way of life. Some of us, we are free, we don't have anything to do, we are not very active. That's why we get into the WhatsApp, the digital world. And digital world is another world altogether. It offers us so many opportunities. But let us not forget, it can take us to a destructive world or a constructive world. So ask yourself, what was my uppermost feeling during the day? What were my predominant thoughts during the day? Did I take any decision under the influence of sadness? I come to that point soon. Did I take any decision under the influence of sadness or anger? Ignatius tells us, never make any decision when you're too low or too high. You ask yourself, many youngsters, many businessmen, many family people have committed suicide these days. What was their state of mind? Were they very happy when they committed suicide? Many celebrities are committing suicide. Or were they low, what we call depression? They were sad. They said, everything is over. Life is over. There is no future for me. And that's why they committed suicide. They made a decision. And Ignatius would tell us, don't make decision at that time. When you are low, sometimes when you are very angry, don't make a decision. When you are very angry, you will say, I will not come home. You are not at all my parents. I won't consider you as parents. Yes, you made the decision. You said, uttered something when you are very low, when you are very angry. Be careful when you are very angry, when you are low, what you say, be careful, and what you decide. Similarly, on the other hand, when you are overexcited, when your spirits are very high, don't make a decision. Sometimes when you are high, they call it the honeymoon moment. In honeymoon moment, you tell your partner, I see the whole world in your eyes. You are the apple of my eye. But the next day, the reality strikes. Next day, things are normal and you start fighting. And you say, you're the worst person that I've come across in my life. See the difference. Same tongue speaks a different language on the following day. Why? Because when we are high, when we are not touching the reality, you made certain decisions, you uttered some words. So don't make any decisions when you're too low or too high. The second one is the quality of life depends on the quality of choices you make. Ignatius uses the word discernment. Madam Dr. Monica also made a reference to this discernment. What is this discernment altogether? Discernment helps us to make a decision. Discernment tells us that there is a process in decision making. And what kind of decision we have to make? We have to make decisions that promote culture of life, decisions that bring quality to our life. Robin Sharma said, the quality of life depends on the quality of choices you make. You are quite familiar with this author, Robin Sharma. And so, friends, today our choices should be governed by the spirit of more, the spirit of magis. So, today I may be having a dilemma whether when I go on the street, there is a poor person, should I help or not help? If you don't help, it is not a big sin, or it is not a big error you are committing. But if you help, that speaks about your personality. That speaks about your personality. You're concerned about the poor. Then people will ask you, where did you study? Maybe you have studied in a Jesuit education. Because Jesuit education teaches us to reach out to the poor, to reach out to the marginalized. And so what we have today in our Jesuit education, or Jesuit education should contribute a beautiful tool called examination of consciousness. And this is a tool to lead a qualitative life, a pedagogy that helps us to lead a qualitative life. And this tool will help us, this reflection will help us to change ourselves. Leo Tolstoy, a Russian writer, said, everyone thinks of changing the world, but no one thinks of changing himself. Last 2 points, that being focusing on the inner world and also using that reflective pedagogy, will help us to change ourselves, to be a better persons, to lead a qualitative life. Point for reflection. Am I leading a qualitative life? Do I have the habit of reviewing my daily life? The fourth point, education that fosters integration. I made a reference to this point earlier. Friends, Ignatius and his companions studied in the University of Paris between 1528 and 1535. They studied in Paris, and at that time, the University of Paris was the best university that was available in Europe. And our Jesuit companions, the first companions, Ignatius and his companions, they studied in this university. And what Ignatius did, Ignatius learned a lot of things through his personal reflection, by doing the retreat, by having a conversation with God, and also he had conversation with other people. And what he did, he shared this insight, this new vision that he got, the vision to help neighbors, he shared this with his friends in the college. Thus he gathered 10 companions in Paris to the work of helping neighbors. He said, I can't work alone. I need friends. Therefore, he gathered companions in Paris. What is the purpose? Not for fun, but to help his neighbors. All that he did was for this purpose. That's what I said. He was passionate about this dream. Wherever he went, he thought about this dream. Now, what did they emphasize? What did the Jesuits emphasize? Jesuits emphasized on academic excellence. And today, I'm sure Loyola College of Education in Jamshedpur also emphasizes academic excellence. That is needed. There is no compromise on that. But at the same time, we need to have a special love for the poor. Do we have exposure program? Do we talk about the poor? Do we talk about the target group? Do we talk about the marginalized in our colleges? Do they have a space in our colleges? That is the heart. Are we affected by that reality? But that is not enough. Once we're affected, we need to also do something about it. Ignatius and his companions, they studied in Paris, They were erudite men, they were intellectual giants. People put them on the pedestal saying that these are great men, but Ignatius told his companions, wherever you go, wherever you give lectures, people you put you on the pedestals, people will appreciate you, and that can fill you with pride. I am an important person. But Ignatius tells his companions, in the evening, once you finish your lectures, go to the streets, go to the hospices, meet the poor, help them. This is what they did. And there is a combination of head, heart, and hands. And this combination should be there in our Jesuit education. And so personal transformation is not enough. It should lead us to social transformation. And today there are so many social evils in our world, in our country, in our vicinity. Are we doing something as students? It is not enough to have personal transformation, personal enlightenment that should lead us to social transformation. Mahatma Gandhi said, be the change that you want. Be the change. If as teachers you insist on discipline, ask yourself as a teacher, am I a disciplined person? As a student, ask yourself, am I a disciplined person? Am I serious about my studies? What qualities, what type of life do I lead? Do I lead a qualitative life? And so education should affect the way I think. It should affect the way I perceive the reality, the way I relate, and the way I act. So education must bring this change in me. And Jesuit education educates the whole person. This is what I said earlier. Head, heart, and hands. It's holistic education. It brings character formation. And finally, the fifth point, friends, Jesuit education that sensitizes one to the presence of the divine. An education that creates awareness of the divine, awareness of the presence of the divine. Ignatius was a seeker, and as a seeker, his question was, where is God? Where is God? For this, we need to understand the spirituality of the 16th century. In the 16th century, the predominant thought was to experience God, you need to run away from the world. There was a dualistic worldview. The great thinkers of that time, they said, world is bad, matter is bad. And so many people were running away from the world. Therefore, to experience God, we need to run away from the world. We need to run away from matter. We need to run away from any earthly material reality. And where do we find God? We find God in the desert. We must renounce the world. We must leave the world. But Ignatius gave a different perspective to his spirituality. He said, to experience God, we need to go to the world. You must make a U-turn, not to the desert, rather to the world. Because God has created this world. God said this world is good. And you and I are in this world. And we need to find God in this world, not in the desert, not in the temple, mosque, and churches. And today we know the mosques, temples, churches are closed due to the lockdown. And today, friends, we need to find God in our families, in our classroom, in our workplace. We need to find God first and foremost within us, within each one of us, because all of us are temples of God. We are the temples of God. In other words, divine is present everywhere. Divine is within me and around me. And Ignatius also said, God is within you because God speaks to you through your positive thoughts, negative thoughts. If you have a positive thought, God speaks to you. God tells you something. If you have a negative thought, God is telling you something. Maybe God is inviting you to change that negative thought. So God speaks to you within from your inner world. God also speaks to you from the external reality. When you're with your parents, when you're with your teachers, when you work, God also speaks to us, through our profession. Your students take study as a divine activity. Give your whole self for studies. Even for teaching. Teaching was a divine experience for Ignatius and his companions. Therefore, today we need to find God in the family. classroom, and in the streets. Do your work, in other words, do your study with utmost dedication, with bhakti, because this study will bring you transformation. This study will help you to be a better person. This study is also a tool for you to serve others. And today, in today's context, friends, we need to find God in the context of suffering. Suffering is everywhere, not only in our families, but also around us. And what should be our disposition? Today, we are called to co labor with God. God is telling us who is suffering in the context, He's inviting you and me. Come, help me, let us work together. We need to co labor with God in transforming the world, making the world a better place to live in. And we know what Jesuit institutions have done in the recent past in the context of COVID. Many of our Jesuit institutions, with our students, with our collaborators, our staff, and also with the people of goodwill, we have co-labored with God in mitigating the suffering of people. And so many activities have been initiated by Jesuit institutions. And I'm sure that is the story of Jamshedpur province as well. And today we are called to find God everywhere, not only in a particular place, a divine place called chapel or church, but also we need to find God everywhere. And that is also the thrust of Jesuit education. Jesuit education must help us to give ourselves fully in whatever we do. Could be teaching, could be studying, could be social work. Wherever we are, we need to find God. And points of reflection. Have I found God? Have I found God in my family, workplace, in my studies and teaching? What hinders me from finding the divine in my life? Are there any blocks? Maybe my jealousy, my self centeredness is not allowing me to find divine in my life. And friends, thank you very much. Happy feast. And let us be transformed, men and women like Ignatius of Loyola. And I wish you all the best in your studies. God bless you. Thank you.
Now, this is time for question answer session. Anyone who wants to raise a question can ask Father. Father, we'll have just few questions.
Okay, sure.
Okay. Father, there is a question in the chat box. Mr. Chandragyan, can you please highlight Jesuits' response to COVID-19 pandemic, Father? The Jesuits are doing wonderful job for the over the world during this pandemic. So, can you please highlight the Jesuits' response to this COVID-19?
Thank you very much for this question. See, I'm in Bangalore. I will not able to tell you what we have done all over the world, but at least what I know I can tell you. First of all, in India, today we have taken up a whole online movement or what we call a campaign called We for Migrants. We for Migrants. This is the activity of Jesuits in South Asia. And every province has done so many things, which I don't want to highlight. We for Migrants. And we have been doing a lot in this. We have organized webinars. We have organized the provinces to work towards this, to alleviate the suffering of the migrants. And we have taken that as one of the primary tasks. And also, wherever we are, in some of our colleges and all that, we have allowed the COVID victims to come in. We are also catering to their needs. Some of them need counseling, and also some of them need space. So we are trying our best. Now, if Bangalore has become the red zone, all of you know. So we are also seeing in what way we can reach out to these people. And the other one, I know recently I heard about Afghanistan. We have a Jesuit refugee service, and Jesuits are actually involved in Afghanistan with the Afghan refugees. So that's also part of Jesuits in South Asia. And we are doing a lot there because they are in a remote area and people are not getting anything, especially the poor and the marginalized. And in a nutshell, I can tell you, we have become other-centered. Yeah, though at times we become inward-looking. There is a fear what will happen if we move out. But at the same time, there are many Jesuits who have taken a bold risk, and with the help of others and with the collaboration, we have done a lot. Once again, I want to tell you, it is not only the Jesuits, but I think we all together, we need to know, we need to compliment the people who have come. Jesuits alone cannot do this. We might have taken initiatives, but there are people of goodwill. They have all come with us, and we have done a great job, commendable job. And I want to underline, it is not only we Jesuits, but there are many other people, people of other faiths, people of other institutions, other religious groups, they too have done. And I think we are all serving the humanity, and that means we are serving God. Thank you.
Father, there is another question by Salma Tudu, and she is asking that how can I improve my inner world attention in this COVID-19 pandemic?
Yeah, thank you, Salma, for this question. Can you hear me, madam? Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
okay.
Father.
Okay. See, Salma, your question is very relevant today. How can I improve my inner world attention? See, today you have less of distraction, if I'm not mistaken, because earlier you used to come to the college, a lot of activity, physical movement is there. But today, I think when you are in the house or wherever you are, you have less of external activities. It's the best time. First of all, what you can do is you breathe in, breathe out for some time, become aware of your body, of your breathing, and then slowly see what you're going through, what is happening to you, what thoughts you have, predominant thoughts. And these thoughts have certain feelings. Those feelings, those thoughts also elicit certain feelings. What feelings you have and where it is leading you. Are you becoming optimistic person or pessimistic? Because today there are some people who become very pessimistic in the whole context of COVID. They don't want to do anything. They do not, they say, no, what will happen to me? What will happen to my family? And all the time they think negative. And I think this is the best time for us to become aware, first of all, first of all, do this breathing exercise and say, what is happening to me? And in case you go through a lot of dilemma, you have a lot of negative thoughts, share with somebody, share with your counselors, or today there are many people who are available, and if they are trustworthy and if you trust them, share with them what you're going through, and probably they will also throw some light on your situation, and they will also help you how to be pessimistic, how to overcome the depressive situation. So this is what I want to tell you in nutshell. Thank you.
Thank you, Father. Now there's another question by Serena Pereira. How do I know whether I'm employing a healthy perspective towards something?
Thank you, Serena. How do I know whether I'm employing a healthy perspective towards something? One of the ways to see whether you're employing healthy perspective, you just see, are you happy? What is your feeling? At the end of the day, the predominant feeling is happiness, a kind of hope. That means you are having a healthy perspective. That's why I'm telling you at the end of the day, or once you finish your activity, let's say you're taking class. And at the end of the class, if you have a feeling of happiness, you feel happy, and that happiness remains, the joy remains, and it sustains you, it helps you to be positive, I think you are in a healthy perspective. At the end of the class, though you feel happy, maybe there are some people, they say, no, I have challenged a student, I have taken for a task one of the students who was not attentive in the class. Okay, you may feel happy, and you might have used some abusive words. Momentary happiness you will have because you have challenged the student. But later on, you would feel, okay, did I do the right thing today? Was there any other option for me? Shouting, was it the only option, or was there any other option? Maybe I could have called the student personally, I would have spoken to him. So you see, just because a momentary happiness is there, some kind of happiness, I need not say it's a healthy environment. But later on, you notice you feel sad, you feel a little restless. And I think it is an indicator there is no healthy perspective, especially when it comes to that person. But when you go home, maybe you have a healthy perspective because you love your family. That's another thing. So it sometimes depends on a particular context. could be a particular individual. So I think if you feel happy, it's also possible you're meeting a friend, and if you like that friend, if you love that friend, and you feel like being with the friend, and that is a healthy perspective. But you meet somebody and you have a lot of negative experience with that person, and somehow you don't want to meet that person, and then probably you see, what am I going through, what am I feeling whenever I think of this person, negative thoughts, negative feelings, and I feel like running away from that person. It means you don't have an healthy perspective. And so friends, I think it's very important, especially in our college system. Sometimes you like some people, but when I dislike, sometimes I do certain things, I make certain choices, or destructive choices we make. And the youth is the era of choices. And therefore, we need to reflect, what kind of choices am I making? Thank you. Hope I made myself clear.
Thank you so much, Father. Any more questions? Students, you can ask questions directly as well. Anyone who wants to ask any question? Father, I think there are no more questions. Anyone who wants to ask any question?
I shall ask a question to Father Josie.
Yeah.
Yes, Father.
Father Josie, that your presentation was wonderful and very, very appropriate and apt to our pandemic situation. It was well presented, very cohesive way of projecting the inner world of the students. I would ask you that our students, the B.Ed students, are going to be uh, going into this field of education, the school education, and the children are coming with a lot of difficulties these days. And when the school reopens, they will have a lot more to handle in terms of mental health and mental problems. Now, sometimes our teachers themselves are having poor self-image. Our students themselves are having poor self-image. Now, what is that? I would be very grateful if you highlight how St. Ignatius, having a very poor self-image in the beginning of his career, as he went to the Mandrisa cave, where he was thinking that, he has to be very, very austere, very, very punishing himself, and slowly, gradually, he is improving self-image. Can you present something from that perspective to our students to improve their self-image? From Ignatius, how he has grown from the poor self-image to rich self-image through the way that he has started his life in Mandresa and Porto.
Thank you, Father Anton Raj, for this question. And I think it's very relevant for our students today. Let me be very brief. I don't touch upon Ignatius, but only one thing I want to tell you. How did Ignatius have this very positive self-image? That's what I say, the shift. What is that shift? Up to the age of 30, his whole focus was on the external reality. Where is the external reality today? Today, the media is the external reality. Sometimes even our teachers, the newspapers, what do they say? The external reality. For Ignatius, the external reality said, if you walk straight, you are wonderful. If you attract girls, you are wonderful. You are the best person. And if you start limping, if your external appearance is not good, you are bad. This is what the world told him, the external world. External world also gives a lot of information to you. External world tells you what is good, what is bad. But sometimes it is misleading. But what Ignatius did, Ignatius made a shift. From the external world, he went to the inner world. He listened to God. And from the eyes of God, your external appearance doesn't matter. You come from rich family, poor family, it doesn't matter. You are black or you are fair, that doesn't matter. What matters? What matters is your heart. God says, I'm in your heart. You're very beautiful for me. You're very precious to me. What's happening to our students? We are all conditioned by the media. We are conditioned by the external world. And we simply swallow the external what it says. It says something is beautiful, something is not beautiful. It says this is good. If you have a particular thing, you are a wonderful person. If you don't speak English, you are bad. If you speak your mother tongue, you're not fluent in English, you are bad. And I think these conditions or these criteria are given by the external world. But God says, I want to see the language of your heart. You are beautiful to me. You are precious to me. And Ignatius had that shift. And he said, if I'm beautiful for God, that should impel me, that should push me to do something beautiful for people. And I think this shift we need to have in our life, somehow to listen to the inner world. And Ignatius did that. Once he listened to the inner world, he said, okay, people may fool me. He then went on wearing all this garb. He went like a penitent. Penitent means he was wearing like sackcloth. A person was giving so much importance for his external appearance. He was wearing sackcloth. There is a shift in his life. And so I think what we need today is insight. Insight, jnana, what I said earlier. Just don't swallow the external world. Just don't follow the media. Reflect, analyze, and have this insight. And if you are in touch with God, God will tell you, you are the wonderful person. Listen to God and see what God tells you. Make that choice. So this is what I want to tell you. And I'm sure that will also give you a lot of
I think there's some problem with his internet. We'll wait for some time. Let's see. Father, I think there is some internet problem, connectivity problem. Sorry for the inconvenience caused. I think he has left the meeting. There is some problem with his connectivity. We'll just wait for him to rejoin. Till then, I request the students to be ready with the questions. If you have any more questions to ask. Kindly hold, Father is rejoining.
There is some internet problem, but he is trying his best to rejoin. Just hold on for a few minutes. Meanwhile, we can announce the class, the rescheduled time, because it's getting time. Wait, he's calling again. Hello. Okay. He has a problem in rejoining. Something has gone seriously wrong. So let's then conclude this session with a vote of thanks and Loyola anthem.
All right. Let me thank Father first, though he is not there, but we should thank him for the efforts that he has made. So thank you, Father, for making us think, why am I teaching or studying? I'm sure we all will rethink on the topic and we'll be in contact with the inner world. So thank you so much, Father Josie. I'm sure Father Principal will, convey our thank you and our gratitude to you. Now I request Ms. Raksha to propose vote of thanks.
Good morning, everyone. Most of the best and beautiful things in the world are intangible, and thank you is one such prayer among them. Though this pandemic has not permitted us to meet face to face and discuss the importance of the relevance of Ignatian insight, but I am thankful that we are living in an age where technology has permitted us to come together virtually. I would like to thank Father Jose D. Mello SJ for taking out time from his busy schedule and enlightening us with his word. Also, I would like to thank our respected principals, Dr. Father P. Anthony Raj SJ, our Dean of Academics, Dr. Monica Uppal, and our professors for conducting this webinar. Lastly, I would like to thank all the participants and YouTube viewers who took their time out to attend this webinar, which in turn is an exchequer of knowledge. I hope we all go through and come out of this tough time as more healthy and happy people. Thank you.
Now I request the President of Student Council, Ms. Serene, to please start with the college anthem.
I request everyone to please stand in attention for the college anthem. संत इग्नाशियस का था सपना, पूरा करना है फर्ज अपना। संत इग्नाशियस का था सपना, पूरा करना है फर्ज अपना। आए मिलके आए, कर्तव्य निभाए, शिक्षा की ज्योति हर तरफ हम जगमगाए। कर्म के प्रति हम रहे प्रतिबद्ध, बच्चों के बने हम सच्चे मार्गदर्शक, दूसरों की सेवा में समर्पण करते हम अपना जीवन। Loyola College of Education, Loyola College of Education, Loyola College of Education.
Over to Father Principal for the announcement.
So I would like to take this opportunity to thank Father Josie for having given us a broader perspective of Ignatian insights. I'd like to thank Dr. Monica Uppal for anchoring this prayer session and the spiritual discourse. I would like to thank Chandragyan Turkey for having conducted the first day, 27th July prayer, Dad Dreamer, where he has made us to realize that we have to be a dreamer in every sense. We have to take the world into fire. Thank you, Chandragyan and his team. I would also like to thank Benny Lalit Minch for his wonderful presentation of the prayer with his team on Ad Majorum Dei Gloriam, AMDG, the sole motto of the Society of Jesus, for the greater glory of God. Thank you, Benny and his team. And I also thank Mrs. Manju, Kiran Kujur and his team for their wonderful effort to make us to realize that we are formed to be men and women for others. It was very good presentation. Thank you so much. And today I would like to thank all the team members who have stirred, who have helped to organize this program. Dr. Monica Uppal, Mr. Felix Diga for the prayer, Mrs. Jennifer Kujur for her take and receive hymn, Ms. Raksha for her word of thanks, and Ms. Serene Pereira for her leading us into Loyola Anthem. And today we have done a wonderful job of remembering St. Ignatius of Loyola and his legacy that we remember. So thank you very much. I wish you all a happy feast tomorrow, and we all remember you and pray for you in a special mass. And also tomorrow at 31st, tomorrow is 31st of July, our former provincial, Father George Fernandez has completed his term and he is stepping down tomorrow, and a new provincial delegate, Father Jerry Kuchina, the superior of XLRI, is a provincial designate. He will take over tomorrow by 5:30 in the evening at Loyola School Chapel. So you also pray for the entire province and the province men, the Jesuits. So since we are past 11:18, so we will begin this class, your class, after 15 minutes, maybe 11:30, 35 around, you can begin your class. And tomorrow is no class. Tomorrow will be a holiday for you. Wish you all the best. Take a good rest and God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you, Father. So we'll have class after 15 minutes, let's say 10:35. We'll start with our method classes. All right, so happy feast day to all of you.
He is a provincial designate. He will take over tomorrow by 5:30 in the evening at Loyola School Chapel. So you also pray for the entire province and the province men, the Jesuits. So since we are past 11:18, so we will begin this class, your class, after 15 minutes, maybe 11:30, 35 around, you can begin your class. And tomorrow is no class. Tomorrow will be a holiday for you. Wish you all the best. Take a good rest and God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you, Father. So we'll have class after 15 minutes, let's say 10:35. We'll start with our method classes. All right. So happy feast day to all of you.
He is a provincial designate. He will take over tomorrow by 5:30 in the evening at Loyola School Chapel. So you also pray for the entire province and the province men, the Jesuits. So since we are past 11:18, so we will begin this class